A Christian Testimony. From New Age to Jesus Christ, a Modern Spiritual Odyssey. Part 2 of 9. In Part 2, the journey continues through experiences involving drugs, spiritual exploration, and a quest for enlightenment. It highlights his encounters with substances, a trip that brought him into a heightened state of consciousness, and his involvement in the counterculture movement of the 1960s, particularly in San Francisco. The narrative includes moments of transcendental experiences and a sense of detachment from reality. We wrestled, but he broke loose from me. There we stood 2-1. Breathing heavy, they scrambled for the vehicle and roared out of there. Was this the way it was supposed to be? Why was life this way? It must change. It must change. My heart ached. My perspective of life sharpened with each passing day and the real-world encounters I was having outside of the confines of the safety net we often build around ourselves. Even with limited understanding, the realization of what was transpiring all around me all the time in the lives of so many people impelled me toward greater earnestness on my spiritual venture. But even then there was a growing awareness that the material world was actually a world of effects influenced by unseen forces. Those invisible elements were powerful and the stakes were getting higher. The next experience impacted my life more than anything previously, and yet on the surface all seemed friendly. I had made it to the New Jersey coastal town of Wildwood without further incident. It was before dawn as I walked down the empty boardwalk lining the shore. It seemed as though it would be a bright day with relatively calm seas. In the pre-dawn dusk, only one shop was open on the landward side of the wooden walkway along the Atlantic shore. Looking in, I saw a familiar face from acquaintances I had had in the beatnik, hangouts and coffee shops in downtown Philadelphia. Steve was a low-key kind of person with a gentle, friendly way about him. His greeting and smile were a warm welcome after my sojourn down south. We sat and talked philosophy and religion. The idealism of the times was evident in every concept we exchanged. I want to share half of what I have in my possession with you. If everyone did that, we would all have enough to go around, I proposed. I took my last bit of money, bought him a sandwich and coffee, and felt good about myself. He said, "Well, I have something to share with you. Have you ever been on a trip before? I've got a double hit of STP to share with ya." With that he opened up a small piece of aluminum foil that held a little white tablet. Cutting it in half, he said, "Put this white wedge under your tongue." The sun hadn't risen yet. Does our generation always have to take a pill for an answer? As the sun came up, the powerful hallucinogen I had taken started to take effect. The spiritual dimension I was so ardently seeking began to unfold before my very eyes. Much of what I had gleaned so far in my quest as knowledge of enlightenment became a part of the reality I was walking in. Magically I became sensitized to levels of energy and experience as though I had passed through a door of some kind into another world. It was literally incapacitating. Steve realized early on that I was on a heavy trip and stayed by my side to avoid any catastrophes. At a certain point, as I was slipping out of the real world, several people on horses galloped by us, kicking up sand and yelling at us in a harassing fashion. "Steve, why are they doing that to us? They don't like us because we're different." "Oh," I said. We began walking toward Steve's crash pad to avoid any further trouble. A vehicle came by loaded with young people, and they also yelled at us and used obscene gestures. Somehow their voices turned into black energy directed at us. "What was that, Steve?" "That's bad energy, man." It hit me. "I know, man, let's go." As we walked I became almost detached from my body. "Steve, there is a power to move forward, yeah man, that's called drive." "Oh," I said. None too soon we had walked clear across the city, away from the ocean beach crowds, to a dumpy little place filled with beatniks and other assorted counterculture types. Steve explained I was tripping and they invited us in to smoke some marijuana and enjoy the trip. Someone put an album on and things really began to deepen. My physical senses were now blurring and cross-circuiting in my mind. The music coming out of the stereo player became a mixture of sound and color. I was able to see the sound, I reasoned. Many other such phenomena were taking place too numerous to give account of here. It had been 18 hours since I had ingested the drug and I still had not arrived at the place it was taking me. Soon my sense of consciousness had slipped altogether out of the realm of reality into a place difficult to describe. I sat in blue where only the outline of my body could be seen. There were no objects at all. No up or down aside from the orientation of myself. I had become transparent and the ethereal outline of my body was burning with blue flames. How to describe these abstract events is difficult but important. They have deep ramifications in the future of this odyssey. There were no cognitive thought processes. Leaving the blue fire, I emerged into the strange experience of watching myself pass through the colors of the rainbow. It seemed each color level had its own unique symbols or mystery connected to it. Each color had a level of consciousness and experience bound up in it. Soon I burst into a realm of blinding light. As I had passed through the rainbow colors, now I was rapidly breaking through levels of intense white light. Brighter and brighter, faster and faster went the pace. Then in blinding light before me sat a golden Buddha in the yogic lotus position. Having taken in the sight in a millisecond, I burst past it into a realm of translucent bliss. With ever-increasing velocity I passed through transparent veils too numerous for me to recount. I then sped forward into what seemed to be cosmic recesses. When I was in unbearable speed, I suddenly came to an abrupt halt. Now before my consciousness appeared a large transparent scintillating sphere. It was divided into 4 quarters and seemed to quiver with an animation source unknown to me. I saw the sphere in a realm of seemingly unending blazing light. There I remained for some unknown period of time. From the time I slipped from consciousness of my physical surroundings to this point, I was in a state of thoughtless awareness. I was an observer. In a flash I found myself sitting in the room again. Instantly I had come down from an altered state of consciousness to a normal frame of mind. What had happened to me? It was morning the next day already. The drugged state had captured an entire day of my life. It came and went, but its influence remained. Colors, sounds and shapes more dazzling and inspiring than anything that had ever entered my imagination compelled me on to further pursue spiritual life. Had I stumbled across the answer to my utopian dreams? Was it really as simple as dropping a hit of acid or some other mind-bending drug? Apparently an entire generation of people believed it was so. I met a few of Steve's friends who were heading out to Haight-Ashbury in the San Francisco Bay Area. "Come along. We've got room in the car." In a matter of hours I was swept along with an entire generation to become a flower child. No more evil. No more violence or war. Peace, love and joy were the order of the day. Everyone was talking about fulfilling utopian dreams. Commune after commune that we visited along the way accommodated this new age euphoria. Drugs flowed like candy everywhere. Food was had in abundance. Relationships came and went according to the drift of the moment. The trek west seemed to intensify some vague idea that the world could be changed for the better. There were good people out there with dreams and hopes just like mine. The realms of spirit could be opened with the swallow of a pill. Although no aspect of the counterculture escaped its impact on my life, it was the mysteries of the new realms of spiritual and psychic activity that engulfed my attention. San Francisco, there were hundreds of people milling around the streets surrounding the Mecca of flower children. One need only open his mouth and in would go some consciousness-altering capsule or pill. The streets were filled with people of all types begging for food or spare change. Being impelled to enter the realms of light and glory once again, I took many drugs in a short period of time. These intense chemicals soon made a shambles of my mental faculties and ability to function. At one point a movie was being filmed at a local music hall. Having heard about it, I quickly arrived to see the fantastic light show that was supposed to be there. In a short time someone handed me 5 double hits of STP, the drug I had taken back on the New Jersey coast. Then someone else handed me some Hawaiian woodrose seeds. I ate them all. In a matter of minutes I began to realize that I was going to lose consciousness. This time I didn't have the sense that it was going to go well. An eerie foreboding swept over me. Midst the din of rock and roll and flashing lights, wave after wave of anxiety swept over me. Like a raving maniac I ran out of the auditorium and sought refuge in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park. By the time I arrived I was in a helpless state of dementia. Terror surrounded me on every side. First, a tough-looking group of Gypsy Joker motorcycle gang members approached me in a menacing fashion. They could see I was tripping and thought they'd have some fun. I could barely hang on. Quickly succumbing to boredom, they left. Soon after, a fellow with long hair and sorrowful eyes handed me a card with the picture of his guru on it that said, "God is love and silent." The crowds in the park were watching some women dancing in the nude to bongo drums playing in the background. I managed to literally crawl behind some dense shrubbery and collapse. I lay on my back, hands curled up on my chest, and lost all sense of the outside world. Unlike my first experience, this one cast me powerless into an abyss of absolute darkness. No sound, no light, only the fathomless, endless darkness all alone. This is the end of part 2 of 9. Thank you for listening to this testimony. We hope it has been helpful. Now, let's briefly introduce a new book, The Surface Theory by R.G. Gibson, that presents 2 new innovative creation theories. Born from personal revelation and years of research, these 2 theories emerged from previously overlooked key words, offering profound new insights into Genesis. This book also unveils new scientific discoveries related to this topic. Prepare for a paradigm shift that makes Genesis logical, dissolving the previous barriers between faith and science. Find the key to these mysteries and many more within the pages of The Surface Theory by R.G. Gibson, available on Amazon. Please like, share, or subscribe to our channel. Thank you, and may God bless you.